ચાલુ કરે છે ત્યાં
પૂર્વી મેમ ભવિષ્ય
હા
ઓકે મેમ
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. Today we have an expert session on understanding the JavaScript and uses of in industrialization. So, welcome you, sir, Swaraj, sir.
Hey, Urvi, thank you, everyone. Thanks, PPSU University officials for inviting me for this session. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Swaraj sir. I'd like to welcome and introduce Swaraj Panigrahi sir. He is software consulting professional with 10 years of experience in IT industry, solving digital problems for a varied set of clients. A computer science engineering graduate focusing on build state-of-art web applications and websites to help users to attain maximum user experience. He has spent his time contributing to various open source platforms. He has been instrumental in delivering software products of highest quality using web technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. He believes in democratizing the learning and development of youth. He has been actively participating in motivating fresh graduates to take up web development. So, welcome, Swaraj sir. Welcome to this presentation, this expert lecture.
Thank you, Shrikant sir. Thank you, everyone. Before I begin, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Good. That sounds good. Thank you, Shrikant sir, for a brief introduction about myself. And guys, just to give you a background, I am currently working as a software professional. I'm an engineering manager with Deloitte Consulting US India, and my primary areas of expertise is into JavaScript, and that's where I fit into this entire picture, right? I'm really glad that I'm here within this group, within this mix of all the fresh graduates or the undergrads who are here, who are listening to me right now. I have been a firm believer in learning, and that's where I think I can I can actually value add to your career to help you understand how JavaScript works in the current industry, right? Uh, with that said, right, I'm here representing myself, and I do not represent the company as such. And all the views and whatever I'll be talking about is solely personal. All right. The medium of communication that I'm going to have right now is primarily going to be English. Um, in I can understand Hindi, but again, Hindi is not my strong suit. I can speak Hindi a little bit, but please pardon me if I go wrong with my Hindi at times. All right. With that said, I think I have prepared. I put in some effort to actually, come up with a beautiful slide for all of you. Uh, I'll go ahead and present that, and then we can get started with this entire session. All right. Shrikant sir, I would need a little bit of feedback from you in between, just so that I understand that you guys are able to hear
Yes,
me
sir.
throughout.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
All right. So I'm sharing my screen. As soon as you guys are able to see it, please let me know so that I can get started. Okay. Can you see my screen now? Urbi, Shrikant, Vavisha, are you guys able to see my screen? Am I audible, Shrikant?
Yes, sir, you are audible, but your voice is breaking.
Okay.
I think there is.
All right. And
Okay.
how about my
Sir, yes, you
presentation?
are audible now. Yes, it is visible. Hello is visible. So now you
Perfect.
can start.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So who am I? Right. My name is, again, like I think we have heard my name quite frequently for so far. My name is Suraj Panigrahi, and I have almost 10 years of experience building various kinds of web applications using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I'm currently, I'm currently working as a manager. My role is that of a technical manager, but I'm a engineer at heart, and I like building products. I like building things out of nothing, and my primary area of expertise is JavaScript. Right. I'm also a very avid reader. I like reading a lot of books, and that's my way of cooling down. That's my way of taking break from all the hectic work that I do as an engineer. I'm also a teacher. In my current organization, I actually go out and train people. So people who are fresh graduates, I generally go and train them on all web technologies that I generally work on. And other than that, yes, I do a lot of other things, and that's a little bit about me, right? Now, where do you find me? Like, how do you connect? How can you connect with me? So these are the few options that you have. You can, if you would like to see some of my work, you can go to my GitHub profile. Then there is this LinkedIn profile, and I have my website. My website is currently down. I'm actually working on an upgraded version of my current website, so you will probably not see anything on my website. But yeah, I write a lot of blogs, and I try to contribute to the open source communities. That's where this is my website, and you can go there, and then you can find those things. Right now, jumping into the topic right away. Right, why JavaScript? Now, guys, JavaScript. Before I get into JavaScript, right, like I would like to paint you a picture. This is the number of active websites that we have as of 2020, right? That's 2 years back. All right. And we have 1.5 billion websites right now on the internet. All right. And according to rupees, but it goes all the way till 8,25,000. That's the topmost, for companies like Google, Amazon, and all. They actually they pay more than that, right? So definitely, once you learn JavaScript, paisa hi paisa hoga, right? That's one of the primary motive, right? Like if you see, if you fill that gap, that's the amount of money that language, right? So the entire web architecture is broken down into client server architecture, right? So you have a server which the client actually requests you some pages or some data from the server, and the server basically gives it back to the client, right? So Node.js acts as a server-side language, and over the years, JavaScript has evolved so much that it is so robust. It is so technically so sound right now. JavaScript is, which started just as a scripting language, right? I mean, it was just a hobby project for somebody, and then that's how it has started. And now you can literally see across the spectrum. So you can use it as a client-side scripting language. You can also use it as a server-side language. And the most important of all, right, mobile apps. There are certain frameworks which you actually help to write JavaScript to basically build mobile apps or your iOS apps, Android apps, all using JavaScript, simply using JavaScript, right? I mean, isn't that wonderful? Like something which started as a hobby project is now all across, right? It has replaced some major industry majors, right? Like Java is almost obsolete in these days, right? Because JavaScript has taken over across all fields. And blockchain, right? Like I am not sure how much of an exposure do you guys have to Web 3.0, but to give you a brief introduction, Web 1 was during the 90s when internet just started, where you can only read from the websites, right? For example, Wikipedia. There is no way you can interact with that particular website. There were other American online. I don't know. I don't think even this generation don't understand what American American onliners. Like it's more of a read-only websites. They were more of static pages, lengthy websites. You would have only hyperlinks and all that. You click and you land on a different page, and all you can do is only read, 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 read. You could not interact with that with those applications. And then came Web 2.0, wherein you started interacting with the applications. Like for example, Facebook, right? One of your friend uploads a picture, and then you click on the like button. The like count goes up, right? All of this is interaction. You are now interacting with the web application, right? Right now in 2000, I mean, in 2020, we are at the verge of introducing Web 3.0, which is basically built entirely on the blockchain concept, wherein you are democratizing. You don't really own client servers, but every machine can act as a server. Every machine can act as a client. So that's a brief about Web 3.0, right? And JavaScript has found its way into the Web 3.0 as well. All right. I'll actually pause here to see if there are any questions here. Shrikant, sir, can you please help me if there are any questions that I can help address?
Sir, we will have a questionnaire session in the last. You can continue now.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. Now, do it to believe it, right? So I generally believe, like, I strongly believe, in fact, that engineers should always do it and then learn, right? And don't take me for granted. Don't take any book for granted. You should always experiment, learn, experiment, do, and then learn, right? So that is how you get your concepts more clearly. Just a word of caution here, guys, that I'm going to share some couple of steps with you. Don't try this on this call itself, because you will lose connectivity to this call, and then you will not be able to hear it, right? So this is what you have to do. This is a very fun experiment. What you can do is open your Chrome. If you're using Chrome, then open the Chrome DevTools, follow the steps, and then you get an option to say, disable JavaScript. You disable your JavaScript and try opening any websites that you see, right? So again, quick trivia here. There are 97 to 98% of the websites that are live today on the internet, which uses JavaScript. So what does that mean? If you disable JavaScript and try to open any application for that matter, in fact, like 98% of your application will stop working. You will not be able to interact with your website, right? So try this out. After this call is over, probably go back and try this small experiment. Then you will get to understand that how funny it is. Like literally, you cannot really get the same fun out of a website if you do not have the JavaScript enabled for you. All right. Moving to the next segment now. What is JavaScript, right? All right. So this is the bookish or the definition of JavaScript, and two things to note here that I have highlighted. The one is JavaScript is a programming language, and one of the core technologies of the World Wide Web. And over 97% of the websites use JavaScript on client side for web page behavior. This is where the gap is. This is what I was referring to. That we have so many of these websites actually using it. It is the de facto standard for any web app for that matter, right? Plus, this is a programming language now. During its initial stage, it was more of a scripting language, which was used only to maintain some aspect of the websites on the front end, on the client side. But it has now evolved into a programming language. It has grown over the years. There has been a lot of open source contributions. There has been, major organizations like Google, Facebook. All of them have contributed to the success of JavaScript. Right. Now, hello world. This is one. This is how a JavaScript code looks like, and this is one of the most simplest form of JavaScript code that you can see, right? To take you back to those eras, right? Like these are very initial days of the internet, and guys, please don't confuse your World Wide Web, internet, browser. We generally, on a layman's term, we generally use those words very interchangeably, but trust me, they are all different things, right? Internet was had just started during those phase, and to access a document over an internet, you needed a software, right? And that software was basically called browser. Okay, and one of the first browser was Netscape browser. So Netscape was basically, it was a piece of software which can help you to connect over the connect over the internet through various protocols. You have heard about all the TCP/IP protocols, HTTP protocol, and all of that, right? Now, browser, what it will do is it will take an address from you, picture for you on the browser client side, right? And this is where the browser comes into picture. And this browser is I think I can literally say one of the best inventions of entire software industry, I would say, because look at the time that you spend on a browser today. Look at the amount of things that you do with the browser. Even within your mobile apps, lot of your mobile apps actually use browser to display their app within themselves, right? So this is where Netscape comes into picture. Going back to '95 again, like this is where the Netscape comes into picture, and they built something called JavaScript, which actually helps in adding a little bit of interactivity to your websites, right? And then comes in IE 3.0 in 1996 in Microsoft. What they do is they introduce something called JScript. Now JScript is like one of the it was built on top of the first versions of JavaScript, right? And that's when they developed a little bit of JScript, and then that's what they packaged it as the JScript. During this period, one thing you need to remember is Java was at its peak, okay? And any software engineer for that matter would actually learn only Java at that point of time. Because Java was so popular, and Java was so versatile, it could be used on any platform, in anywhere for that matter. And that's where the initial founders of JavaScript, what they decided is, let's name it as JavaScript. And guys, Java and JavaScript are chalk and cheese. They are not the same. They are completely different from each other. If I don't think I should be even comparing them. The only similarity between Java and JavaScript is the first four letters that Java and JavaScript have. JavaScript is a completely different language of its own. It has a different syntax. It has a different way of handling things, and that's it's just that they wanted to popularize JavaScript. That is where they named it as Java, right? All the modern JavaScript that you actually see, right? All the fun part that has begun was actually because Mozilla enters into the scene, right? In 2004. So Mozilla is like, it was built, Mozilla Firefox browser. This is where it actually gave a lot of benefits to all the developers. I mean, I think the upcoming slides. Now Chrome introduced V8. Now this V8 was very helpful because this V8 engine was used to actually take JavaScript outside of the browser, right? And when we were able to take this JavaScript outside of the browser, we could actually have server-side, pardon my language here, server-side, scripting. That's where Node.js comes into picture, because now Node.js, now V8 created a runtime wherein you can now run JavaScript outside of the browser. All right, I'll take a quick break, just a minute break to sip some water. All right, I'm hoping that you guys are able to follow me along so far. But to understand JavaScript, right? Um, there are three pillars to web engineering. One is HTML, one is CSS, and then there is JavaScript, right? HTML and CSS take care of your presentation. They take care of your elements. What JavaScript does is basically adds interactivity to your entire web page. And interactivity is a big thing, because imagine Wikipedia. How much time do you spend on Wikipedia versus how much time do you guys spend on Facebook, or let's say any gaming website, right? Because you have interactivity, because you get feedback from the websites, you actually like spending more time there. Because you uploaded a picture, somebody liked it, you got a notification, and because you clicked on a notification, you felt good that you are now able to, people are liking your photo. That's the amount of feedback that you are getting from the website, right? And that helps you to spend more and more time on the application. Wikipedia does not do that for you, right? Wikipedia is a one boring website. It has a lot of information. You read it, you absorb it, and then you forget. You probably come back only when you really need it, right? Versus Facebook, you probably, I know a lot of you will still be looking. Some of you will be browsing Facebook or Instagram right now as well, right? Because that's the amount of attention they draw from us, isn't it? So most simplified version of a browser, all right? User interface, right? Now, a lot of you would have double clicked on the Google Chrome icon. Again, I speak a lot about Google Chrome because that's my